Let me show you how to create websites using Flutter. So we are going to create a simple portfolio website and we are also going to publish it using GitHub pages. So the first step is to create a new Flutter project, and while creating the project this time, we are going to select this option, Web. And in this example, I am not going to create for the other platforms, thus I am not selecting them. If you want to create for these platforms too, then you can select them as well. Now once the new project gets created, here we'll have the default code which is for the default app, the default counter app. So if we load this app on the browser, we will see the default counter app. So let's give it a try. On the terminal, we have to run this command and this will load the app on the browser Chrome. And here we can see the default project, right? So here is the default counter app, but we are going to make changes to this app. So the first thing we will do is to remove this widget, my homepage, and we are going to create our own widget. We are going to return a scaffold from this widget, the new widget which we have created for the homepage. And inside the scaffold, we are going to add an app bar, and to the body for the time being, let's add a container. Now let us change the colors of the app. So here we have this widget, my app, and inside this build function, from this build function, we are returning the material app widget, right? And this widget material app has a property called theme, to which we pass an instance of theme data, and here we have this option primary swatch. So here we are going to change the color. So we are going to pass colors.blue-gray to primary swatch, and we are also going to change the color of the background color of the pages. And for that, we are going to change this property. We are going to add a value for the parameter scaffold background color. So this will change the background color of the scaffold from the default one to the one that we specify. Now load the app again, and this looks different and this looks better. Now let us create the layout for our homepage. So here on the homepage, we are going to display one image towards the right and some information, name and other information towards the left. So for that, add a row to the body of the scaffold. Let's remove this container and here add a row. And to the parameter children, we are going to pass a column, because towards the left, we are going to display the name and other information vertically. So we are going to add a column. And we are going to add an instance of a widget profile image. So I have created this widget for displaying the profile picture. So I have not implemented it. We are going to implement it next. So now we have added a column and an instance of profile image, because we are going to display some information towards the left and the image towards the right. Now inside this widget column, inside the list children, we are going to add a text to display the name, and then we shall add another text to display some information, a small amount of information. And then we are going to add a row. Inside this row, we are going to add icon buttons for displaying the social media icons. For example, we shall add the link to Facebook, Instagram, GitHub, etc. So for that, we are going to use a row because we shall lay them out horizontally. And we are going to wrap this widget column by the widget expanded, so that it expands to occupy the available space. After placing the image, whatever space is remaining should be occupied by this portion, so it will expand. So for that, we are going to wrap this column by the widget expanded. And let us also wrap this second text widget with a padding, and we are not going to provide any padding towards the left, so that the alignment remains same with the title. We are going to add some padding towards the right, top and bottom. We shall also add some styles to this text widgets. For the title, we are going to make the font size 40. So to specify styles, we have to use this property style, and we have to pass an instance of text style, right? So we shall pass an instance to the parameter style of the text widget, and while creating this instance to the constructor for the parameter font size, we shall pass 40. We shall pass a color, the amber color, to the parameter color. Then we are also going to add customized fonts. So we shall do that later. Let us also add some shadows. So there is a property called shadow. To this we have to pass a list, and inside this list we have to pass instances of the widget shadow. So while creating the instance of this widget shadow, we are going to pass values for the parameter offset, where we shall pass an instance of the class offset, and we shall pass some values here, and we shall pass a value for blur radius and a color, and we are going to pass a similar shadow here. Now here we are going to display the icons of Instagram, Facebook, GitHub, etc. So I have downloaded some of the icons from freeicons.io. So here I have created a folder assets, and inside I have created a folder named icons, and here I have kept the images, and I have also kept a text file inside which I have kept the profile, the link to the profile of the creator. And I have created another folder images. So here I'll keep my image, which I'll display towards the right of the home page. And then another folder fonts. So here we shall keep the font files, the custom font files that we would like to use in our website. So we are going to change the default fonts. All right. So I have added the files. Now we have to specify the parts of the assets inside our pubspec.yaml file, right? Otherwise we won't be able to access these files. So here inside this pubspec.yaml file, in this section Flutter, so you will find these commented lines, uncomment them. So we have to add this section asset, and here we have to specify the directory or the paths to the exact files. So we can specify the exact path to the individual files, or we can specify the path of the directory containing the files that we want to use in our app. And again here, remember that you have to maintain the proper indentation. All right. So now here we are specifying the directories where we have the files that we want to use in our app. We will be able to access them inside our widgets. So here, while adding the icon buttons to the parameter icon, we are going to pass these icons. So we are going to add the image widget. We shall create the instance of the image widget using the constructor asset, and here we shall pass the path of the image that we want to display in this button. So we shall add the one for Facebook, GitHub, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. Now save the changes, load the app, and here we can see the icons. Now let us implement this profile image widget. So here we are going to return an instance of the image widget from this build function. Again, we have the image inside our assets directory, so we are going to use the constructor asset. We shall provide the path of the image, and then we shall specify the height and width. And we are going to pass boxFit.cover to the parameter fit of this constructor to properly scale the image. And to make the image circular, we are going to wrap this image widget by the widget clip rect, and we have to provide the radius to the parameter called border radius. And to this we are going to pass border radius dot circular, and here we are going to pass a value for the radius. Now save the changes, and here you will notice these differences. Now here I also want to add some glowing effect to the image. So for that we are going to wrap this clip rect by the widget container, and we are going to pass some styles. We are going to add some styles to the container, and for that we are going to use the parameter called decoration. To this parameter decoration, we have to pass an instance of the widget box decoration, and here while creating this instance we are going to pass a color. We are going to pass border radius dot circular and the value 250, same as this one, to the parameter border radius. And then we are going to add some shadow. For this we have to use the parameter called box shadow. To this parameter we have to pass a list of instances of box shadow. So here we are going to add only one instance, box shadow, and here we shall provide the color of the shadow, then spread radius and blur radius. Now here you should play around with these values and see how does it look for the different parameters. All right, different values for the parameters. Now let us make some changes to the app bar. So we are going to display a title and we are also going to display some buttons towards the right. The title will be clickable. So here we are going to use some logo, but in this case I'm going to use text only to display the logo. So we are going to use some custom font. We shall do that, but for now first let's add a title. So as we are going to make it clickable, let's use the widget text button. So this widget text button has a property onPress to which we have to pass a function, an implementation of a function, and here we can write the code whatever we want to execute once this text is clicked. And then to the parameter child we have to pass the actual widget. So here we are going to pass an instance of the widget text and I'm going to pass the text to be displayed. And let us add some styles to this text. For that, let's pass an instance of text style to the parameter style, and while creating this instance text style to the parameter shadow, let's pass a list of shadow. So here we shall add an instance of the widget shadow, and while creating this instance we are going to pass a value for offset, blur radius and color. Now again try playing around with these values and notice how does it look. And then we are going to add 20 as the font size, and color we are also going to specify the color a variant of white. So we can use this colors class which have different colors, right? So we are going to pass this value white to 54 from the colors class. Now let us add some buttons towards the right, and for that we are going to use the list actions, and here we are going to pass instances of the class text button again, because we are going to display the text and this text will be clickable. On clicking this text we are going to load different pages. So let's pass text button, instance of text button, and to the parameter child we are going to pass an instance of the widget text, and here we are going to pass the text to be displayed. So we shall have one button to load the work experience, so let's pass work here, then another to display the educational qualifications. For that let's pass education to this text widget for the second button, and then we are going to add one more named contact me. Now let us implement this onPress function. So once these buttons are clicked we are going to load different pages. So for that we are going to create different widgets. So here inside the lib folder let's create 3 new files, one for displaying the work experience, another for the widget for education, another for contact me. Inside these files we are going to create the widgets. So let's create a stateless widget work, and from the build function we are going to return a scaffold, and we shall add an appbar, and the body, for the body at this moment let's keep container. In this example, in this video I am not going to implement these pages because this you can do that yourself whatever you want to display, but if you are interested in the code then you can keep watching the GitHub repository that I'll share the link in the description, because I'll make changes to this and I'll push the code to the GitHub repository. Now let us create similar widgets inside the other files, education.dart and contactme.dart. Now here in all of the pages we are going to display an appbar, and that appbar will be similar to the home page, right? So let's create a separate file. Let's name it appbar.dart, and here we are going to keep the code of the appbar. So we shall create a function. From that function we are going to return the appbar. So inside the home page, inside the main.dart file, inside this home page, bring your cursor to this appbar widget and right click on it, and here you will find this option refactor, and there you will find this option extract method. Click on it. So it will create a separate method, and that method will return the widget that used to be here. So here you will notice that this function is created, build appbar. Now let's copy this function and paste it here inside this file appbar.dart, and now inside all of these widgets we are going to make a call to this function build appbar. Now on clicking these buttons we are going to load these widgets as new pages, right? So for that let us define the routes. So let's go to the my app widget, and here we have this material app widget, and here this constructor of the widget material app has a parameter named roots, and here we have to specify the roots. We have to specify the names of the different roots. So here we are going to add the root. So we have to follow this syntax. So here we have to specify the name of the root, then we have to add the colon, and then we have to add the function returning the widget corresponding to this root. So here you'll notice that this is a function. So this is the parameter, and a context is there as the parameter. So we have to pass a context, and then we are using this fat arrow syntax to return the widget which should be loaded as the new root. Let's add other 3 roots. We are going to add another for work, so /work, and then add colon, and then add the function. So again we shall have one parameter of type build context, and from this we are going to return an instance of the widget that we want to load for this root work. So this is the instance of widget work. Similarly, add another for education and another for contact me. And once you add this, specify a name for the root, the home page. So if you add /, so this represents the home page, right? If you specify this, then you cannot add this property. You cannot use this property home of the material app widget. So let's remove this. And now let us implement the on-press functions of the text buttons of our app bar. So here, on clicking the logo, the text that we are using as the logo, we shall load the home page. So here, as we are using named roots, we have to call the function push named of the navigator. So navigator.push named, we have to pass the context, and then we have to pass the name of the root as the second parameter. Let's do something similar inside the on-press functions of the other text buttons. So here, this is the button for loading the work experience page. So here we are going to use the same statement. The only thing that will change is the name of the root, so /work. Similarly, here we are going to use the root education, and then in the third button we are going to use the name contact. So now to reload the page, what you can do is open the terminal and press the key R, and now try clicking on these buttons and they work. Let us remove this back button from the app bar, and for that we have to pass false for the parameter automatically imply leading of the app bar widget. Now if you load the app again, you will notice that this back button is not there in the app bar. Now let us add some custom font to our app, because they make the UI look different. I have downloaded some font files, the .ttf files, from the website fonts.google.com, the Google fonts, and I have kept them inside this directory named fonts inside the assets folder. So again, like the image assets, you can use external font files. You can keep them inside the assets directory here inside your projects directory, and then you have to specify them inside your pubspec.yaml file in a similar way to what we have done for the images. So here inside this Flutter section, inside this section named Flutter, we have added this section assets, and here we have specified the path to the images that we are going to use in the app, right? In a similar way, we have another option, fonts, to specify the fonts that we are going to use in our app. So here we have to specify the name of the font and the path where we have kept the font file inside our assets directory. So there is a property called family, and add the name of the font here. Using this name, you will be accessing the fonts inside the widgets. And then there is a property called fonts. Inside it, there is another property called assets, and here we have to specify the path. So I'll add 2 fonts here, one Fredoka 1 named Fredoka 1, and I'll add the path of this TTF file Fredoka 1 regular, and then I'll add another font. The name of the font family is Pacifico, and I'll add the path of this file Pacifico regular.ttf. So let's go to the app bar widget. So here inside this file app bar, we have the function which is returning an instance of app bar, and here let us add the font family to this text widget. So here we have used this text widget to display the name as the logo, right? And here we have added this text style for specifying the different styles, and here we are using this font size 20. And let's add the another property, font family, and pass the name of the font family that we have specified inside pubspec.yaml. I'm going to use Pacifico for this font. For the font of these buttons, let's keep them the default. You can change it if you want, but now I'm going to change the font of this main text portion of the home page. So here we are displaying the name and some other related information, and for both of these text widgets we are going to use the font family Fredoka one. Now save the changes, reload the app, and now this looks better, right? Now let us make some changes to this home page. So we are going to align all of this text towards the left, and we are going to bring them towards the center vertically, and we shall add some padding around the complete content. So here this is the widget column which contains the text widgets. So here we are going to add main axis size dot mean to the property main axis size, and we are going to pass cross axis alignment dot start to the property cross axis alignment, and we are going to wrap this row by the widget padding, and let's add a larger value for the padding. And now this looks good, right? Now as our website is almost ready in its simplest form, we are going to publish it using GitHub pages. But for it we have to generate the release build. We have to run the command flutter build web in the terminal, and it will convert the Dart code into JavaScript code, and it will create the HTML file, it will create folders containing the assets, etc. So basically it will create a complete web project containing the JavaScript, HTML, etc. So we can use those files and host them anywhere we want. So let's run the command, and it will generate the release build. It will keep the files inside the directory named build/web. We can copy these files inside this directory and we can host it anywhere. So now to use GitHub pages, first of all go to the link pages.github.com. Here you will find all the information about GitHub pages. So first of all we have to create a public repository, but while creating it, while specifying the name of the repository, we have to be careful. We have to follow a format. So we have to use username of the account using which we are creating the repository .github.io. So in my case the username is Gitanjal. In your case it will be different, so use that username. If you don't use the username correctly, then this is not going to work, so you have to be careful here. So in my case the name of the repository will be gitanjal.github.io. This is going to be a public repository. Then I'll create the repository. Once the repository is created, I'm going to clone it in my computer. So I'll run the command git clone, and this link inside the folder where I want to keep the files of the project. So once this repository gets cloned, I'm going to copy the code of the release build that we have generated just now and paste them inside this folder. And then I'll run a few commands to commit the changes. So I'll run git add all, and then I'll run git commit, and I have to specify, I have to add a commit message, and then I have to push the code by running the command git push origin main. So once you push all of the code to the repository, you will be able to access your website by the name of the repository. So in my case, if I enter gitanjal.github.io on the address bar of the browser, it will load my website. So that's it. We have created a simple website using Flutter, and we have published it. Now go ahead, create your website. You can use GitHub pages, you can use Firebase hosting, and you can use other hosting services too. Host it somewhere and share the link in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video.